Hello guys and welcome back to the Live Strong podcast. Back with another episode with you all. Here I am. Now, I forgot to do my intro again. Lol. Should we do it now? Hi guys, I'm Olivia and welcome back to the Live Strong podcast. I actually can't remember how it goes. For those that don't know me, I'm a personal trainer and business owner from Newcastle, New South Wales, and this podcast is all about living your healthiest life, infused with a bit of chaos of my own. Okay, that was chaotic, but I'm going to leave it in there. 35 seconds of chaos of Olivia to start us off. How you going, team? I hope you're having a great week. I'm actually having a good week this week. Recording this on a Thursday for you all, so we're nearly at the end of the week. I've still got a pretty big next 48 hours of work ahead of me, and then I've got some fun stuff on the weekend, which is exciting, and then we'll be into the next week before we know it. Can you believe how soon Christmas is? So soon. Nathan and I are going away on the 15th, or the middle of December. So the countdown until our holiday is severely on, which is a bit scary, but a bit exciting as well. So a lot of organisation is in the works at the moment, both personally and businessly as well. But that's fine. It's a great time of year. I actually love Christmas. We're not going to put our Christmas tree up this year in the house because we go away so soon in December, and we're away until nearly the end of January, so there's no point putting it up, but we are going to put it up at the gym, and I do have some new decorations for the gym tree, which is very exciting because the gym tree has been a bit sad the past few years, but yeah, lots has been happening, just getting things organised, which has been good. I hope you guys have been good as well. Obviously you can't tell me, maybe you could send me a message and be like, I'm great and slaying. We are officially halfway through our 8-week challenge at Live Strong, the final push, which means that we've got a month left, 4 weeks left, and then we'll be all over and done with. The team have been super committed, which has been so nice. I think this has been the best well-ran challenge we've done yet. So hopefully those doing it can agree. I feel like it's been very clear, very informative, but not too informative. There's my issue is that I want to give too much to my clients. I want to, in lots of different ways. We've gone through phases, and look, I think that's just because my business is only small and I work very personally with everyone at the gym. So I actually really want to help everyone. So initially that's me doing more and giving more, but I've learned over the years that more isn't the answer. We do all these events in the gym and all these themes and all these things that people would come to, but people don't want to be doing so much shit at the gym. If we just do a few things, then people actually want to do it. Same with education. Previously, I've given heaps of education for the challenges, which education you need to learn. If not, you don't actually succeed, right? But I think previously I've given too much education that people don't listen to it. They don't even click on it because they're there's so much coming every single day. So I've tried to strip it back, but with a little bit more focus, I guess. So that's where we're at with the challenges at the moment. I think it's the best one yet. Already in the works of the one next year, which is exciting. But yeah, that's what's been happening in my life, guys. Nothing too exciting to report. I guess my high of this past week is that I've finalized booking my holiday. Let's say that. I've done I've ticked all the boxes. Now it's just sort of organizing the general itinerary. So that's a win, isn't it? Is that not a win? Slaying. My negative though of the week, guys, my eye irritation is coming back. If you're following along on my eye journey, it's coming back. So I guess for a backstory, weird red eye, weird sensation, had it for a few weeks, then eventually got it checked out, and they said I had an allergic reaction, and then they gave me these drops, and I do feel like it sort of went down, but I don't think it fully went, but then probably this week, re-flared back up. So It's really bad after I've slept, like my eyes been shut, but then just randomly you'll just be agitated as well. So I think I'm gonna have to go get it checked again next week, which is just so frustrating. But anyway, that's my boo-boo of the week. But what can you do? Honestly, what can you do? Nothing but solve the issue. Now, recommendation for the week. I can't remember if I've recommended this before or not, but I'm going to do it again. And it's protein water. Now, protein powder is like obviously a big thing and it's been around forever. And protein water's been around for years and years and years, but like not forever, I'd say. But I think a lot of people are like, ew, protein powder, don't like it, yuck, won't have it. But protein water literally tastes like cordial. Some are too sweet, but you could also just have half a scoop if you found one was too sweet. But protein water, guys, yummy. You get a good amount of protein and you can just can sort of sip on it. Refreshing, especially in summer. You don't need to be taking protein powders. Like that's not the be all and end all to results. But a lot of people struggle to hit their protein target, and sometimes just having a scoop of a protein source can be an easy way to get it in without too much thinking involved and without any other macros, because sometimes if we have like, oh, well, I'm going to have like an egg, let's just say as an example, well, an egg has fats and protein, where maybe we're just trying to just have protein. It's just so easy. Simple, it's easy. But protein water, we have the, maybe it's like Nexus, like Nexus, the brand, I think. I usually just get it from Best Body. But also I've had the Muscle Nation one, which I just get from Woolworths when it's half price, which like every few weeks it's half price. They're only really small tubs though, especially with me and Nath both utilising it. Like that could just last us a week, which is annoying, and then you have to buy it again. But yeah, protein water, that's the tip for the week. Now let's get into today's topic. We're going to be talking about rest and recovery. Something that we've talked about before on here, but I just wanted to bring it up again because at the gym at the moment, intensity is high and a lot of people are like on the grind. Like they're ticking their sessions off, they're doing their steps, maybe they're doing some extra runs on the end, like adding on top of their gym sessions. Like they're doing all the things, and people during our challenge phases can get really like dialed in and ticking all the boxes. And then either A, something will happen and they'll be like forced to rest. B, they'll get injured and they're going to try and like push through. Or C, they're just going to keep going and eventually burn out. So no one can sort of overcome the overtraining situation. Like in the end, it will hurt you in some way, shape or form. Overtraining, plateauing, injury, whatever it is. But at some point, you'll get to a point where you'll need to prioritize your rest and recovery. And we don't want to get to a point where you learn where that point is. We want to know about it before then. So let's talk about what is rest and recovery and why we need to do it. When we actually train in the gym, we are exhausting our muscles, we're exhausting our energy stores in our body, and in, I guess, very simple terms, when we're doing strength or hypertrophy based training, it's our muscles essentially tearing, not fully tearing, but you know, we're tearing, we have muscle wastage, all these sorts of things happen. And in our recovery phase, that is when we restore everything back to normal. When we're restoring, we're hoping that it comes back stronger, it comes back maybe slightly bit bigger, whatever it is. You know, obviously this happens in very, very minute ways. Imagine if every single time like you train and do biceps, you're like, oh, the next day they'll be 2 centimeters bigger. Like that obviously doesn't happen, but that is sort of like the premise of it. So if we have put our body through all of this effort, all of this energy, we've exerted everything from our body, we need to somehow get back to 100%, because how can we expect to train again at 100% if we haven't brought our body back to that 100%? If we're only at 80%, we can only give 60 to 80% of ourselves to that session. So this is why we need to rest, because we're not going to be able to perform at our optimal best when we haven't done that. Now, rest can look different for everyone. I think a key little like statistic that I guess I always think about, that a specific muscle can take up to 48 hours to recover. So I'm just using someone who maybe is doing a bit more of like a hybrid style training. Maybe they're doing some cardio days, they're doing some runs, they're doing some leg days. If that person is doing like legs Monday and they're doing cardio Tuesday, and then on Wednesday, maybe they're doing upper body. Thursday, they're going for a run. Friday, they're doing leg day again. There's been no 48-hour window that their lower body has been able to recover. Every single session, you're still not running on 100%. Will you notice that? Maybe not straight away, but over time, yes, you will notice that. And like the biggest thing that happens is people just don't get the results that they think they're going to get, especially in strength training, like especially with pushing weight. Like you just won't. You just won't be able to push any harder than what you've been pushing because you're not being recovered enough coming into the sessions. The other thing that happens is that if you're actually not recovering properly and not resting enough, you're going to end up injured. You're going to end up injured. Like, it's just what happens. And this could be because like you've been overtraining, like I just sort of said, and not resting your muscles enough. It could be because your sleep's poor and your recovery has been poor because of your sleep. It could be that you're not fueling pre or post workout enough. Therefore, your recovery has not been well enough for that session or leading into the next session. It could be because of your stress. Your stress is really high. Our central nervous system is like absolutely buzzing, and therefore we're not recovering enough between sessions. Like all of these components also lead into why or why not where our recovery has been good or bad. Okay, so it's not just the whole idea that you are having rest days. It's, am I eating enough food to support my recovery? And am I sleeping well enough? Am I sleeping enough? Is my stress managed enough? And also, like, is my training split that I'm doing throughout the week, is it good enough? Like, or am I not thinking about my training split enough, and then potentially, you know, I'm overtraining certain muscles and not being able to recover properly. Now, we've got to take all of these things into consideration, but we also know that injuries do just happen randomly out of nowhere. Like, our bodies aren't machines. Like, we're not made of steel. So, you know, we all know the person, or you might be the person that you've literally just bent over to pick up something and then your back's like gone on you. Like, you could have just gone to pick up, you know, a tea towel off the ground, and the next minute, your back's gone. You've done a disc in your back. It literally can happen like that. Like, guys, shit just happens in life. So when shit does happen in life and you are injured, I think actually understanding that you do need to rest and you do need to recover and you do need to pull back may be like your key to success. Now, in the other light to this, I'm a big advocate on, I guess, training when you're injured within reason. Like, very, very big. I think the like mental health benefits that it has, plus also just like the motivation it holds with your recovery process, I think is really high. Obviously, doing that in line with a professional and within reason of whatever your injury is, like, you've got to take that with a bit of grain of salt. So I'm all for you training when you're injured, like, big believer. However, I do think people overtrain when they're injured, in the sense that they get to the point where they're like overdoing the only thing they can do, when we have to know that if, let's say that you've hurt your hip, as an example, you've hurt your hip, and therefore we can only do upper body exercises for the next few months, whatever it is, okay? But if you're absolutely flogging your upper body, like, every single day, your recovery for your upper body is then going to be shit, and then you're going to be in this same loop, but just with one muscle group. And I think that we can also train, you know, to a lower intensity, but people struggle mentally to train at that lower intensity. And, you know, when we are in a rehab phase, and therefore they're overtraining the only thing that they can train, which can then lead to all these negative effects as well of burnout, plateauing, all these sorts of things. Or they just start to push the friendship too much. Like, they don't understand that, maybe I have hurt my knee, maybe, or my hip, whatever else it was. Maybe I normally train 5 days a week. That's my normal routine, but I'm injured. I understand I do need to recover. Maybe I need to do some active recovery, like walking, whatever it is. Maybe I'm just going to do 3 gym sessions. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to continue the intensity, and maybe it looks different. Our training looks different because we need to be staying consistent with that recovery process. I hope I got my point across there, guys, because like I said, I do want people to be training where they're injured, and at Live Strong, I think we do, I guess, the best we can with helping people train where they're injured. And look, like, to be frank, it's not easy, especially in a PT, very easy to train you when you're injured. Not easy, but like easy for a coach, right? But in a group setting, it is quite difficult to have multiple different injuries coming, like, and sort of just like popping up here and there. But we do our best to always try and cater to injuries and swap the workout to what it needs to be, because we want you to train, we want you to move your body, we want you to feel good. But sometimes I think people just don't know when they need to rest. And rest is sometimes needed. You're not being lazy for having a rest day. You're actually just loving your body when you have a rest day. Like, enjoy doing nothing. Enjoy your body going back to its strongest and happiest form, because that is when you are going to get progress, when you can then come into the gym and you can fire up. This was something that took me a really long time to learn, because when I first started training in the gym, I was training like 6 to 7 days a week. And it was because I simply loved training. Like, when I first started, wasn't a coach, I actually just really enjoyed going to the gym. Like, it was sort of my hobby. I was learning things. Like, it was just what I liked to do. But it was a bit of a rude shock when I did get a coach and they pulled me back to just 4 sessions a week. There was nothing else. There was no other cardio, no nothing, just 4 gym sessions a week. And probably the most results I've ever, and it's definitely probably the strongest I've ever been, like, hands down, because I was coming into the sessions mentally prepared, physically prepared, and ready to go. And I think that's what a lot of people just are not doing enough of. There's always that happy medium of training enough and training not enough. Like, I'm not telling you to be a pussy and like train once a week because you need to be resting 6 days a week. Guys, that is not it. But do you need to be making sure that is a priority that you're resting? Yes, you do. So a few of my tips to help you prioritize your rest and recovery, guys. The first one definitely is to plan out your week of training. When you do something like group training, I think it's a little bit harder because you obviously get told what you're doing, right? But for a lot of people, like, you still have a little bit of flexibility. And like, remembering my little rule, it takes approximately 48 hours for your muscles to recover. Like, for me, I try and not do, like, let's say I was doing legs on Monday, I would try and not do them on Wednesday. Like, I would try and do it Thursday or later. Like, I want to have 2 days in the middle. And I might be a princess, but like, if I'm doing 2 strength leg days, they're spread out in the week so that I can give my all to both of them. Depending on my training cycle, within those, the Tuesday, Wednesday in the middle, maybe I do a cardio day that uses my legs a little bit. But there's still enough days in there that I will be recovered. Where so many people are like, oh, well, I'm doing legs today, but I haven't done my run for the week, so I'll do that today. Or, I've got gym in the morning and then I'm going to do, Pilates in the Arbor, whatever. Plan out your week. Plan out your week. Make the most of every single session. Don't waste a session. Like, you need to be able to go into the gym fueled, well slept, reduced on stress, and recovered. Like, you need to be able to plan your week to do that. So that's my first tip for you. Plan your week in advance. Know what sessions you're going in for and making sure that you are ready to go for it. Number 2 is prioritize your sleep. Guys, you need to be sleeping enough. Ideally, 8 hours a day. I understand for some people that's not ideal. Like, shift workers, people work different hours. But you need to at least have some sort of like sleep routine. That is a big priority. If you don't have any sort of routine with your sleep, your body's just not going to be functioning well. Sleep is literally needed to survive as a human. So if your sleep's not good, how are you meant to be training and recovering well? You're probably not. My next tip is just to remember that there's other forms of recovery. Like there's things like active recovery, like going for a walk. There's, even going for a swim, stuff like that. There's also stuff like saunas, ice baths, all those sorts of things, which look, isn't necessarily ideal. And I don't think that you need to be doing that. But I also think that, people do find that helpful, and some people do think that will assist them in their week, especially if you've got big training weeks as well. But the walking and stuff can be ways to help you with your recovery as well. And my next tip is nutrition, making sure having that pre and post workout meals. Food is going to help fuel your recovery. Recovery is a process in the body. It needs energy to do it. If you've got no energy in your body, you can't do it, right? So making sure that we're thinking about that. And the last little tip is just knowing that it's okay to have a rest day. Not going to the gym sometimes can be putting you 5 steps in front of yourself. If you're skipping that rest day and you think, I've just got to go and do it, you're probably going to have you might feel like you're having a good workout, but you're probably not going to get the most out of that workout. Just think about, sometimes that extra workout could actually be putting you backwards in your results, right? Because we're not going to get anything out of it. You're going to be more fatigued for the next workout the next day. Therefore, you're not going to get the most out of that day. It's all a lead-on effect, right? So having a rest day is okay. Listen to your body. If you're absolutely fucked, have a rest day. It's okay to have a rest day. Now today, guys, I feel like it's been a bit of a rambling episode. This is what happens when I don't write down my notes. Because, firstly, I've been talking about recovery heaps with the guys in the challenge for all of I give them all the goals. There's 4 different goals, and they all have a weekly video from me. And I've just finished recording the second half ones, and I've done a lot of recovery. So I feel like I've been thinking about it, and I've had a few people in the challenge just talk about things that are happening in their life, or a few girls have popped up some injuries, and I think it's hard to process when you actually just need to have a rest, and you may just not need to train for a few days, or maybe you just need to know, I need to come in and just have a few light sessions, or whatever it is. And it's when you're motivated, it's hard to not just go 110%, right? Where sometimes that's literally what you need to do. You need to just take a step back, take a second, and then just know that it'll be okay to have a rest day, and just know the importance of this bloody recovery. I'm telling you, because recovery is where it's at. Now, I guess I feel my rate or hate for the week. I might just do a few recovery tactics. Let's start with the ice bath, which I've talked about before. I actually rate an ice bath. I think every time I've done one, I've enjoyed the process. Do I think it helps me with my recovery? Don't know. Maybe if I did them more religiously, I'd notice more of a difference, but I don't. But I do like an ice bath. Saunas? I actually hate saunas. I know people love saunas. They love sitting in their sweaty box, but I just don't. I don't like a sauna. That doesn't mean it's bad. Look, it's up to you. Let's talk about a remedial massage. 3, 2, 1. I'm going to go, I think I might go rate-ish, being, I don't think anything bad comes from it. I like getting remedial because I just feel good afterwards. I just feel good mentally, physically. It's a nice hour. It does, obviously it hurts and you can be sore afterwards, but you always feel good afterwards. But my only reason I question that is that a lot of people use a remedial massage as a physio, whether they are not a physio. They are a remedial massage person who has done a very, 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 very little amount of study compared to a physio. And they're not going to just diagnose you with anything. People always go, oh, that's really tight. This might be something. Everyone has tight muscles. Your muscles aren't, that's how your muscles are. So I think a lot of people will use a massage person as a way to solve maybe a bigger problem, which is very hard for me as a coach, because then they're saying, oh, well, my massage person told me my shoulder's tight, so maybe I can't do this. Where we're then just in the guessing game, and we could be doing something to make it worse, we could be doing something to make it better. So that's my only little tidbit on that. And I guess my other one's maybe like a remedial, like a massage gun, you know, like I think they're called a thermo gun. I don't know. I rate it. I actually love using it. And again, you feel good. I like using it like a warm-up sometimes, warming up my muscles for like a leg day or something. But shit, it hurts, doesn't it? Like, I feel like it's jabbing you in the bone. But again, I do like it. I don't do much for my recovery. Like, my recovery consists of having rest days, adequate rest days, which religious all year round. And I think I mentioned in one of my episodes recently that in my Hyrox and my marathon era early in the year, maybe my rest days got a little bit less, and I've noticed that. So I'm being a bit more aware of ensuring I have at least 2 rest days. What am I having at the moment? At the moment, I'm having like 2.5. I'm doing 2 leg days, 2 upper days, and then I'm just doing Friday run club. But I would call that maybe active recovery for me, because it's not a hard run for me. I don't run to a harder effort on that day. It's just 30 minutes. So I'd call that an active recovery. But, you know, I break a sweat and I always get puffed. So, you know, maybe not an active recovery for everyone, but I think it's like a capable thing for me to do. So yeah, food, rest days, and then just sleeping, reducing stress. Both of them I'm not very good at, but like I try and be good at. I've been maybe a little bit more conscious these days of like during the day, because my days are really big. If you don't know, I do at least 4 days a week. I do like 4 a.m. wake up, 5 a.m. start at work, and like a 7:30 finish p.m. at work. So it's a pretty like, even though like I'm not one-on-one with clients that whole time, I'm actually working that whole time. Like this podcast, like this is, I finished work today at 10:30. I've come home. I'm going to do the podcast. I'm going to go upstairs and do admin. And then by the time I have lunch, I'm back at the gym. So like, it's like boom, 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 back. I don't have time to do housework in my day. Like it's not I'm at home doing things. I'm at home doing things for work. So my other stories, they're big days. That's fine. But I've been trying to be a little more conscious of, in the middle of the day, having either like a 30-minute sit down off my desk or a 30-minute nap or something before I go back into the afternoon. And the afternoon is generally when I'll do my training session in the gym before the afternoon clients. Because I just think I've been training and working on like not much. But the afternoon I'm like zonked. So something I'm trying to get better at, which will help me reduce my stress. It'll all happen together. So guys, I'm trying as well. We're all out here trying to do our best. So yeah, I think they're my biggest things. Like it doesn't have to be hard. It just has to be done. Anyway, hopefully this has just given you a bit of an idea. Maybe it's a bit of a rambling episode today. Not many episodes left for the year, guys. So enjoy this one. Peace out, Buttercup. That's not, what's the saying? Peace out, Girl Scout. Peace out, Girl Scout.